have to know where you come from.
And a very good early morning to all of you out there who, despite the hour, have got up for this historic occasion in South African sport.
As South Africa and India mark 30 years of friendship, we look to the next 30 years with even greater anticipation.
We have millions watching this telecast right now.
50th Test match 100 for the great man.
If you don't have the belief that you can win the series here, there's no point coming here.
Once one.
That's him. The finger will go up.
And have a look at the celebrations.
Everyone, I'm sure, is pumped up about this clash.
Watch the Freedom Series from 26 December.
Hello, and welcome to the Full Quota podcast. I know that video was for the Test series, but it continues in the ODI series. They had a freedom celebration, friendship celebration in Cape Town a couple of days ago with the South Africa and India, just to celebrate 30 years of friendship between the two boards. So that's pretty much what this series is, and to a certain extent, that's what this ODI series is. It feels misplaced in where everything else is because of the fact that you've got a T20 World Cup in 10 months. But we're going to talk about the ODI series today, and I've got Niharika Raina with me to discuss what the Indian camp is going through, what everything is, everything that we need to look out for from an Indian perspective in this ODI preview. Remember, we've got the ODIs live on One World Sports Radio, so please do subscribe and tweet us in at One World SR during the games, as the games start tomorrow. There's one tomorrow, there's one on Friday, and there's also one on Sunday. It's a day game at Newlands. So everything's been played in the Western Cape because of COVID and everything else, so we're not moving around. Hi, Niharika, how are you doing?
Hi, Mapu. I'm good. How about you? It's been a long time since I came to your show, because the last time I came here, we were discussing about the A series, and the Test series was a while away. Yeah,
it was like a month. It was like a month and a half away, and you gave us everything we need to know about the next generation of Indian players. We didn't get to. So we saw one. That was Vihari, who played in the Test series. Now we're looking at the ODIs.
Yes.
You're so right. Niharika, obviously India wasn't expecting to lose that Test series. They were a little that press conference. I found a press conference Virat Kohli was a little bit. It felt sore. It felt like they were. It was something that they didn't expect to happen, and so they weren't. It kind of felt like it was a little bit tough from my point of view when I was listening in. How's the team feeling after that, and how has that translated into the ODI camp as well?
Mapu, I'm not inside in the team, but I can tell you of what happens around the Indian fans. I mean, you're talking about the Cape Town presser where India lost the series by 2-1. I was also there. I attended the conference from my workplace, and to be really honest, I mean, Virat Kohli wasn't, in that usual mood. I mean, he was, more dejected than the last time when South Africa 2018 happened. I mean, of course, it was after the win in Joburg, but he was very dejected. He literally, wasn't sounding in the element in his usual element. I mean, he was more dejected in that way. So I was literally thinking from inside, is he going to leave the captaincy? Is he? And then next day, when I was just 15 minutes away from logging off from my workplace, I mean, I was just going to finish my shift. I just refreshed my Twitter and I saw there bang on top of his timeline that Virat had posted a statement that he had resigned as the Test captain, and I was like, wow. I was like, wow. Like I was literally shocked, because I mean, I expected 3 to 4 days, but 24 hours. This early, my goodness. And yes, my work got extended. I mean, I was someone to do this story because I was the one who first saw it. But yes, so it was really shocking. But at the same time, you have to see the good Virat Kohli has done for the test side. And yesterday, when there was a Jasprit Bumrah press conference, someone had asked him that what changes in the team had affected the players, and he was like, I don't think anyone is affected because change is the only constant, so we are happy. So, from Bumrah's words, it doesn't feel like that the change at the helm is affected the players because this is a new format, it's a new captain, and this is the first game since 2016 that Kohli will be playing an ODI match, not as the captain.
Mm.
So yes, there's lots to look forward to, and the talk about the ODI is happening. I think someone said that it's not a part of the ODI Super League. So what I see from this series is opportunities for both India
Mm.
as well as South Africa, because the World Cup 2023 is just a year and 10 months away, and it's going to be in India. So both India and South Africa, they can just start to build upon the team, see the right guys who can do well in the subcontinent conditions of October and November 2023. So yes, I do feel I've did see some people saying that this series is a bit misplaced because it doesn't have the
Mm.
ODS Super League points. But if you look from a closer view, this series has tons of opportunities, and I'm sure that Kohli, he will be raring to do well in the ODIs because this has been one of his big favorite formats after the test, and he has been a run machine in this. I know he hasn't got a ODI 100 since August 2019, but has got 8 half centuries in the last 15 innings. So yes, there is a hope that Kohli, the batter free of captaincy duties, can go in a scintillating run.
And is that the sentiment in India in terms of him resigning from the Test captaincy? We know that after the World Cup, he resigned from limited overs captaincy. But is that the sentiment in India to be like, we are thankful to Virat for all he's given us, and we just want Virat the batter with no burden of captaincy to try and take this new generation of Indian cricket forward? Is that the sense?
When Virat posted a statement on Saturday across his social media channels, many people they were in a state of shock. Like, geez, this has happened. Like this seriously happened. I mean, that was the main sentiment. But as people started to come to terms with it, they started to look at the brighter side of what Kohli did as a test captain. I mean, under him, fitness was given utmost importance. Under him, a world-class pace attack was developed, like the world-class levels where India was at right now. And even Keegan Peterson, he said yesterday on CSA website that India was the toughest bowling attack he has ever faced in his career till now. I mean, the player of the series of the recent test series has said this.
Mm.
So, and it also picked up 20 wickets in 2018 as well, like in all the innings of South Africa in
Mm.
2018. Then it did well in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. It won you matches in Oval and Lords in 2-1. So yes, I mean, the way pace attack has complemented the India's rise in overseas conditions, that is really big. I mean, Kohli himself has been a backer of the five bowler strategy, and that has also worked out very well, though it didn't give the desired results in South Africa. But he was a firm backer of the five bowler strategy. So yes, people are still saying that it will be a little weird when next time a test match happens of India in February against Sri Lanka and Bengaluru, and that is tipped to be Kohli's 100th test. So it will be a kind of
Mm.
weird not to see the C beyond after his name. Like, we do have the bracket C, there won't be there. He'll be just a batter now. And that gives him a little bit of freedom to concentrate on his own batting, arrest the slump, arrest the lean patch that he has been going through for now about 2 years. So yes, as Bumrah said, that people won't have been affected. And today, KL Rahul in the pre-match PC, he also gave lavish praise on Kohli's leadership skills in Test cricket. So yes, people will take time to come to terms with it, but I think the Indian team has quickly moved on.
Okay. And tomorrow,
Yeah.
obviously, KL Rahul's going to be the captain. I think
Yes.
he's obviously Rohit Sharma's injured. He would have been the captain if he had been playing. Obviously, this is Kohli's first test without the C bracket next to him. There were lots of questions in the press conference to KL Rahul about that, but his style of captaincy, he's been under MS, he's been under Virat. What is he looking for? What did KL say to kind of give an indication of the type of captain he wanted to be, or what we're going to expect tomorrow in terms of his captaincy?
I think he was trying to say that he's trying to improve as a human being every day and as a captain of the Indian team. Like we have seen Rahul's captaincy in Joburg, but the Indian fans, they have seen him captain the Punjab team in the IPL for 2 seasons, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I've always believed that in life there is always scope for improvement, just like in cricket. And Rahul did say that he has a lot of pointers to improve upon, and the lessons he has gained from seeing Kohli and Dhoni be on the job at the helm, that will also help him out. But tomorrow is a fresh start for KL Rahul as a white ball captain in India, though he's only there the white ball captain for these 3 matches,
Mm.
but it's a small sample size to say that how will he is going to fare as a captain, and he'll be judged by the decisions he makes on the field, the bowling changes he makes, and the field setting he makes. Because in the second test at Joburg, when Kohli was out with the upper back spasm, when South Africa were chasing 240 on the rain-hit fourth day, there were many people who were saying that he could have kept a lot more fielders on the third man and the gully region, because Elgar, the right-handers, they all were getting a
Mm.
major chunk of their runs through the square boundary or the offside. So yeah, KL Rahul, the white ball captain, will be a very curious and an intense look by the Indian fans. He will be given that. He will be under the
So,
spotlight for the next 5 6 days.
well, look, he is, because he's got to be vice captain probably in all 3 formats, with Rohit Sharma coming in, and he'd probably be the next in line if Rohit Sharma ever chooses to retire while KL Rahul is playing. So there's a lot of eyes on him. But um, looking at what India's looking to gain in this ODI series, um, are you going to see? Are we expecting to see a lot of youngsters being given opportunities like Ruturaj Gaikwad, who did well in the IPL? Subsequently, I think he played against Sri Lanka. Also, Shreyas Iyer, Ishan Kishan, who played well against Sri Lanka with Rahul Dravid. Are you going to see a lot more youngsters, or are we still going to see India give us their best 11, even though the World Cup is, as you say, a year and 10 months away?
It looks like that they will give. The thing is that Rahul was asked today in the press conference that who's going to open, and he said that
Mm-hmm.
he will be at the opening, but we still don't know
Okay.
whether India is going to stick with the experience of Shikhar Dhawan or with the youthful exuberance of Ruturaj Gaikwad. Because in the recent Vijay Hazare Trophy, the domestic one dayers in December and November, Ruturaj Gaikwad was in really rich vein of form. He was slamming hundreds for fun, while Shikhar Dhawan, he was in a very abysmal form in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. So yes, it will be interesting to see tomorrow who's going to partner Rahul at the top. And Rahul opening, he confirmed that he's going to open in the press conference. It means that the middle order might have the look of a Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav, Shreyas Iyer, and Rishabh Pant. And with regards to the spinners, it is a certainty that either Ashwin will play or Yuzvendra Chahal will play, or either both of them. Because Temba Bavuma in his presser also said that Pal,
Mm-hmm.
which gives a little bit of support to the spinners, and they might also play in a Maharaj or a Shamsi or both. That remains to be seen at the toss. But yes,
Yes.
the batting makeup, which I am thinking, is going to be Rahul, Dhawan, Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav, Shreyas Iyer, and Rishabh Pant. And if all-rounder fits in, either of a Venkatesh Iyer or a Shardul Thakur, that's going to take up 7.
So India. So you're saying India's going to go with 6 bowlers and 6 batters and 5 bowlers, with Surya Kumar Yadav being able to bowl as that 6 bowling option. Is that where India are
I
going
mean,
towards?
I mean, they might have to split the sixth bowling duties between a Surya Kumar or a Shreyas, because in the pre 2011 time there used to be
Mm-hmm.
batters who used to give you a couple of overs, tidy
Mm.
overs of part-time bowling, and that used to sort the sixth bowling option for India. Like Tendulkar used to bowl, Yuvraj used to give some bowlings, Rashana used to
Mm.
give some bowling. So in this batting order, that's a little bit of a tough situation, I would say. So yeah, I mean, I'm just expecting that if India have the enough confidence of taking out the bowling overs from a Surya Kumar or a Shreyas, then they can go with the 6-5. Otherwise, sort that out with an all-rounder.
So an all-round at 6.
Yeah,
Speaking
maybe
about
all-rounder at 7. I mean, it can go either way.
okay. Speaking
Yeah,
about your spinners, I see
yes.
R. Ashwin is in the squad. So too is Chahal. In last
Hmm.
time when India came in 2018, we saw even at the Wanderers, we saw
Hmm.
Chahal and Kuldeep play. So India actually gave
Yes.
bowled two spinners. Um, do you think that's going to happen now? Even though, and I can tell you, Paul's been is one of the slower wickets we have in South Africa. It takes up a lot of spin. And honestly think South Africa should go in with two spinners tomorrow, in Shamsi and Maharaj. Um, do you think are there any other spinners on in the squad that might uh, the selectors might want to have a look at, outside of, because we know what R Ashwin can do, we know what Yuzvendra Chahal can do. Are there any other spinners that the selectors might want to look at, or if not, is there a seamer that they'd want to, if they want to play a one spinner or option in that case?
To answer your question, first of all, it's about the spinners. I think India's taking up three spin options in Ashwin, Chahal, and Jayant Yadav. And Jayant
Mm-hmm.
Yadav is part of this ODI squad because Washington Sundar, he contracted the COVID-19 virus while in isolation in Bengaluru and couldn't come to the tour. But Ashwin and Chahal are the front runners for the spinner
Mm-hmm.
spots in the playing 11. And as you were saying, that Pal is one of the slowest wickets in South Africa. And I had even read somewhere that Sri Lanka were skittle out for 43 here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they were, but that was like a
Yes, yes.
decade ago. It was a long time ago.
Decade ago. Yes,
And
yes. That's been pretty long time since then.
yes, and the pitch has changed character. Like, so, for instance, the only games we've
Yes.
seen played there are the domestic games, and the spinners did have a great, well, enjoyed themselves in the 4 day games. They had a great time out. But also in the Mzansi Super League, the second edition, um, the final was held in Paarl, and the Paarl was the home team with Faf as captain, and Mark Butcher was the coach on the other side with AB de Villiers,
Yeah.
and his
Yes.
team couldn't score. I think it was 140 plays 130, 120, because the Paarl team set 140 for the Tshwane side, and the Paarl team at Taber Shamsi, it also had Bjorn Fortuin, and you all know both of those because they're South African
Yes, yes.
spinners in the T20 format, and they just ripped through that Tshwane Spartans team. And essentially it was more about the overs of spin that you have rather than the seamers. And so and your seamers also had to come with a lot of skills, like cutters and slow balls and the like. So I'm expecting something similar to that, unless if obviously South Africa asks for a slightly bouncier pitch. But in a T20, I think in an ODI, I think you might err on the flatter side. So which is why I'm thinking if our Ashwin's coming in, the other question to you, Niharika, is what's the assessment with Kuldeep Yadav? Is he no longer in the setup? He's no longer looked in in limited overs cricket for India. What happened with him? Because he seemed pretty great in the last time we saw him.
Absolutely. I mean, 2018 in South Africa was a dream series for both Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal. I mean, they were just very easily bamboozling the South Africa batters. They were running through them, batting that pink ball ODI match,
Mm-hmm.
where they were Hendrik Klassen was the star of the night. So, but yes, Kuldeep and Chahal, they did have a really good time, and the good times, it ran out of steam in the 2019 World Cup match in England, where they both had an economy rate of above 8. And since then, India has been trying either Chahal or either Kuldeep. Like they've played together very rarely, and then Kuldeep, he wasn't getting much of game time, which meant that he wasn't able to get the best figures on. I mean, in the Border Gavaskar Trophy series, Kuldeep, he sat on the bench all the time, though people appreciated his efforts in the practice sessions. And then he was given a test match against England in Chennai, and and then he gave just one ODI match, and he also talked once about that rhythm needs to be there when you're given much
Okay.
game time. And he did go to Sri Lanka tour as well, like where he had decent returns. But in the IPL,
Mm,
he injured his knee in the practice and had to go back to the country and get a knee surgery. And the latest update I have of Kuldeep Yadav right now is that if the Ranji Trophy wouldn't have been spoiled by the Omicron way of COVID in India, he would
mm,
have been turning out for the UP side because he was named the captain of the Uttar Pradesh team. So yeah, I
mm.
mean, loss of form, lack of game time, and then injury, they all have coupled together, and that means that Kuldeep Yadav is a little bit out of contention. Though Yuzvendra Chahal,
Okay.
despite that snub of the T20 World Cup, has managed to,
Yes.
come back and have a place in the squad.
Yeah. So you've named your top six for tomorrow. It
Yes,
was KL. It was, if I listened correctly, it was
Shikhar
KL. It
Dhawan,
was Shikhar Dhawan if they don't go with Gaikwad. Virat Kohli,
Virat
Shreyas
Kohli,
Iyer,
Surya
Surya Kumar Yadav,
Kumar Yadav, and
and
Rishabh Pant.
Rishabh Pant as your wicketkeeper. Yes, that was your six.
Yes.
Um, Complete the five. So it's will you go with two? Would you go with two spinners or one? So who are the other five bowlers? And then I'll ask you questions around the guy about certain of those guys that you selected.
Okay. Now you're putting me in the spot. Now you're helping me put the selector hat.
Well, we I'm gonna put out the selector hat for South Africa too when once we're done with
Oh
this.
yes, and then it will be vice versa, role reversal.
Exactly.
Okay, so considering the history of the PAL pitch, I will take up both Ashwin and Chahal,
Mm-hmm.
and then
And also South
pace.
Africa struggle with spin, so that's an easy
Yes, yes, and pacers in a Bumrah,
one. Mm-hmm.
Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, and the third seamer. I think it's going to be a toss up between either of it, Deepak Chahar or Siraj. And Siraj more so after considering if he has recovered from the hamstring strain he got in Joburg. And then I think for the all rounder they'll have to go between a Shardul or a Venkatesh Iyer. Like do you depend upon Shardul's experience or do you give the newbie Venkatesh Iyer a go? So yeah,
Okay.
it's a bit
So
dicey.
okay, let's talk about Venkatesh Iyer. I've heard a lot of things about him, but give South African fans a sense of what type of a player he is and where he's from.
Okay, so Venkatesh Iyer's origins are South Indian, but he is Indore guy in the state of Madhya Pradesh in the central of India, and he plays for them in domestic cricket. And he came into reckoning in the second season of IPL, where he formed a really solid opening pair with Shubman Gill, and then he managed to give some overs of seam up as well, which also got some scalps. And then his success in the second half of IPL was good enough to keep him as a net bowler for the T20 World Cup as well. And then he made his debut in the New Zealand series and he just wowed everyone. And in Vijay Hazare Trophy as well, he was also doing well. And yes, hi Tim.
Hello. I've just
Okay.
arrived. I've just arrived from Borland Park.
So we'll ask you a
Oh,
lot of
nice.
stuff about the pitch if you've got
Yes,
a chance
yes.
to see it.
Yes, he's fresh coming back from the ball and park. And then we'll fire questions at him.
Yes.
Okay, so where was I?
Venkatesh
Yeah,
Iyer.
where I was talking about Venkatesh Iyer, and he had starred in the T20I series against New Zealand. Like he did some bowling, and he did give some glimpse of his batting. And in Vijay Hazare Trophy, he was batting in the middle order as well, where he got some good returns with both bat and the ball. And yes, he is a very exciting pack because what India lacks right now is a pace all rounder. Because Hardik Pandya is still regaining fitness in order to be in bowling fitness and play the role of the batting and the bowling pace all rounder. So yeah, Venkatesh Iyer is seen like a backup for Hardik Pandya, and it won't be surprised if India give him a go in the first half or after winning the series then try him out in the final match at the Cape Town, because you at the same time you want to win the series and see the guys are doing well, and I think India might give winning the series a priority first, and then they will say that okay, if the third match becomes a dead rubber, we'll try out Iyer and see how he goes in the middle order, and then how he does with the ball as well. Because pace all rounders, they are very rare in world cricket, because because England has a Ben Stokes, Australia has discovered Cameron Green with his bowling returns now, because
Yeah.
we saw how he did well in the bat in the Madagascar Trophy, but they saw his bowling returns as well this time around. So yeah, India badly need a pace all-rounder for the balance of the game and for the substantial dual roles.
Yeah, South Africa need a pace all rounder as well. But
I mean, you
Niharika,
guys have many pace all-rounders.
but we need them to bat. They're really great with the ball, but we just need them to actually hold the bat and do something. Because it kind of messes up the balance of our side, because our pace all-rounders shouldn't be, and our all-rounders should be actually our number 6 batter. To give your captain a 6th bowling option, and they should be good enough to be inside as one of the 5. So one of the top 5, but also you can add muscle and a 6th bowling option in there if they're good enough with the bat. But we can't seem to find that guy right now. But we're going to talk about all of those. You mentioned Deepak Chahar and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar.
Yes.
Bhuvaneshwar has been in and out of the side. Even in the test side, he's now been pushed away because you now have got the emergence of some of the younger seamers. What does Bhuvaneshwar bring to the team, as well as Deepak Chahar? A lot of us Africans will know him from the IPL, but just a little bit of flavor about where Kumar is right now in his career, and where Chahar, what Chahar is, and what can he bring to this ODI side.
Okay, so talking about Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, I think Indian fans are going to see him in the Indian colours for the first time after that T20 series against New Zealand, where Bhuvaneshwar, sort of was seen getting his mojo back. I mean, a little bit of mojo, like he got some crucial NZ scalps with the T20Is, and then was it the domestic circles, because he's still not being seen as a test option because of his injuries in the past run, and but now him back. One can expect that with a fresh mindset and with the experience of playing 50-over matches in the domestic matches, he can just hit the ground running and offer the control which India needs in the first 10 overs alongside Bumrah, because after 2019 India has been horrendous in the first 10 overs, the power play overs. I mean, I'll just run you down the stats. In 21 innings, India has taken just 7 wickets in the first 10 overs in ODI since 2019. So yes, they need that control, and if Bhuvaneshwar Kumar comes to the party, advantage India it is. And about Deepak Chahar, I mean, he also is like that pace all-rounder, but he's more of a kind of a swing bowler, like in the first 10 overs. Like in the power plays for Chennai Super Kings, he does that holding job in the first 6 overs. So yeah, he can do the same thing, and with the bat also he's done really well. Like in the second ODI against Sri Lanka in July, he literally took India out of a jailbreak with Bhuvaneshwar and company. So yes, Bhuvaneshwar and Deepak Chahar, they are different bowlers, and they do offer some ample batting. But yes, remains to be seen if all these 3 guys can fit in with Bumrah, or Siraj will be fit enough to come in.
So I'm going to ask Tim a question, and then Tim can let us know if for me as a selector, what selection I'm going to go for. But Tim, I hear Paul's going to be like 40 degrees tomorrow. Is that true? And will you play 2 spinners?
It's going to be a little bit earlier to the 30s. It's going to be the sort of early 30s, 32, 33 tomorrow. Friday is going to be the exceedingly hot day. Friday is predicted to be 39. So that's going to be the hot one.
And
difficult,
are you playing 2 spinners?
Difficult to tell, because the pitch was undercover the whole time we were there. It was raining, not particularly hard, but it was constant rain throughout. But I think I would be playing 2 spinners regardless of the situation. I think I would go with 2 spinners,
Okay. So then, Tim.
So you're saying you're going to play both Shamsi and Maharaj?
Or George Linder. I'd go with George Linder, because
George Linder.
Or the other one can't. But we're gonna go through that, Tim. I have 4 issues with this Proteas, with this ODI series. With the Proteas and this ODI. Don't fall over, Tim. Please don't. 1. Are we playing an extra batter on all-rounder? Should we actually play an extra batter on all-rounder? 2, who then bats at 4, 5, and 6 after you've decided one. And this is me thinking in the selection committee. So that's the second question. So you've decided either you're playing an extra batter or you're playing an all-rounder at 6. And then after that, who is that 4, 5, and 6? I have 4 names, either David Miller, Rassie van der Dussen, Aiden Markham, Niharika Raina, and you can bring in Dwayne Pretorius as well in there in that 4, 5, 6. So the guys who are going to miss out and guys who've done well. Carl's done well against the Netherlands, dropping him. But I know Bacha, he'll probably say Carl's a reserve wicketkeeper and leave it at that. But that was the thinking around that. The third one, obviously, is the one I asked you. Do you play 2 spinners or 1? And if you're playing 1, are you dropping Maharaj? Because Shamsi can't be, at this point in time, is undroppable. And if Maharaj starts in a 1-spinner attack, what does that mean about Shamsi's future? Because I'm on the side of an attacking wrist spinner like a Chahal. You kind of need that because they travel everywhere. And then obviously the last question is, which of your seamers are you going to go for? Are you going to give Lungi an opportunity? Are you going to rest Kagiso? Or are you going to play Sisanda? Is Marco Janssen going to even start? Because that was a question in the presser. So we're going to start with the first one, Tim. Extra batter or all-rounder?
So it's going to be. I'm going to give you my team. That's okay. My 4, 5, and 6. My 4, 5, and 6 will be.
Okay, give me your top 6. Give me your top 6.
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be Quinton and Malan will be opening. The Bufuma at 3. Then it's going to be Rassie at 4, Miller 5, Carl at 6.
Okay.
So no Aiden in your team.
So you're leaving out Aiden Markram.
I'm leaving out Aiden Markram. Yeah, I think at this point in time, he actually just needs, even if it's just a day away or a game away, I just think he needs to just go away for like 24 hours. This is where I would go. Carl was good in the last ODI game we played. Miller's numbers are still good. I know we get talked about a lot on social media, but he's still our go-to guy. And that's pretty much why I'm going with those guys. Yeah, for me.
So it's
Aiden's not going to play.
So one thing I find with Aiden, and you carry on. Oh yeah, one thing I would note: George Linder isn't in the squad. Sorry. The reason why I put him in is that he was not released to Western Province. He was busy bowling to the Proteas, and you're kind of like, what? But he was probably like replacement for concussions in that last test. But for me, with Aiden scored the 96 against Sri Lanka. It felt like he had turned the corner in the ODI setup, even though he averages 28 and hasn't scored 100. It's a tough question for the selectors because essentially you've got Niharika Raina, who's new and has also scored 95, and you've got Aiden, who everyone thinks is the batter with the highest ceiling in the country. But why would you choose Kyle over Aiden? Oh, you said you want to rest Aiden, but like outside of that, like what message do you send Aiden when you're dropping him? What do you say to him tonight if you say, Aiden, you're not playing? What do you say to him if you are Mark or the selectors? What's the thinking?
For me, it's Aiden. You're still in the plans for 2023. That's not in question. You're definitely going to play at least one of these games. So whether he plays on Friday or Sunday, you are definitely going to play one of these games. And this is not a decision based on your test performance. It's just for. At the moment, I just think that Kyle, in this format, could well become a really quality batsman, and I do think he deserves a longer, sustained run. It's unfortunate that the Netherlands series didn't materialize in its full capacity. That's a great shame. I might have been different then, because maybe Kyle might have failed in these next couple of games. But I just think now...
he scored 95. Like, even then, that's not playing.
Yeah, but there's not much in it for me. No, I can understand if you stick with Aiden, I can understand it. But for me, I would go with Kyle.
So my thing is with the Quinton de Kock potential, him retiring from ODIs, because he's done that in tests. We don't know where he's at, even though they did ask Timber the question and he kind of deflected, saying Miss Quinton's fine. Aiden I'd keep around. I think this is the core, the 6 that you've named, plus Aiden is my 7 batters that will go to the World Cup from this position, and maybe Zubair Hamza as your 8th. And because Aiden's versatile and he can open, and that's where he lost his position, to be fair to Yanaman Malan, and he can also come in at 3 and 4. You can do whatever you need to do with Aiden. I think that's the communication I'd say, is that, look, you are going to be in the world on the way to the World Cup unless there's a dramatic turn of form. However, we do need to give someone like Reina enough opportunities against a very good Indian side so he can feel comfortable in doing that. Werner Erasmus on YouTube says something that's very interesting, Tim. The only thing that is in Aiden's favor is that you might need a 6th bowling option, and he could be your 6th bowling option. That sends us to our next thing, Tim, which is the rest of your lineup, right? South Africa have done this in T20s. They would go in with 5 bowlers and that's it, right? Which I'm uncomfortable with, but it's worked for them because our bowlers are that good. So who are your 5 bowlers to supplement these 6?
So 7, it's Dwayne Pretorius.
Okay.
I think that's assuming. I don't think he's going to play, but that would be my
What about
number 7.
Andile 78?
I think Andile is going to play 7. I
Okay.
think he's going to play, or 7 or 8. I'm not sure I agree with it, but I think that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be probably Maharaj, Lungi, Rabada, and Shamsi.
Shamsi, yes.
Yeah.
So
That's
the only thing I disagree with you in terms of squad is obviously Carl. I had Aiden in there with Carl out, but I agree with your reasonings around Carl. I'm worried about Aiden's form I know he scored that 96 in Sri Lanka. I hope it was the one that turned the corner where we're now going to see him score a lot more. I want Aiden to bat at 4 on my side if he ever comes into my side. I don't mind Rassie batting at 5. And I'm okay with that access going to the World Cup with David Miller at 6. And because Aiden can bowl those off spinners that are handy in limited overs cricket that shouldn't be bowled in Test cricket at all, I'm okay with that. For me, I was thinking of going with 1 spinner, but I will go with 2 because it's Paul. But at Newlands, I'm going with 1 spinner, and that 1 spinner will be Shamsi. It's not going to be Maharaj. Okay. Yes, Maharaj is vice captain, but I don't understand why they made him vice captain, because Shamsi's your guy, right? I understand we're going to India, so Maharaj will probably be your 2nd spinner. So it helps to make him vice captain now. But I need a wicket taker, and my wicket taker Shamsi. From a bowling perspective, I don't think Marco Janssen's going to get an opportunity this series. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Sisanda Magala needs to get a game. So for me, it's between Magala and Ngidi to get an opportunity in one of the. So it might be a 2-1 split. I think Sisanda might get the 2 matches and Ngidi might get the 1. Because I know what Lungi brings. Lungi's my front 3, my top 3. But I want to see what Sisanda and Kagiso together can bring to this ODI side. Also thinking maybe, I don't know, if we might need to rest Kagiso. And in that case where we rest Kagiso, Lungi's going to have to come through. And there might be a possibility that if you rest Kagiso, you might actually be asked to bowl Andile, because Andile is one of the better ODI bowlers we have. Like, if you look at him as bowler, he's great in the absence of Anif Nokia. So the only problem is in that case, you don't have a guy bowling 140. So that's where Marco Janssen might come in. But as like today, like it's just we don't know what the point of this series is, apart from necessarily finding your strongest 11. But it's kind of weird because in South African conditions, you don't play 2 spinners. And also Anuf Nokia is injured. So maybe from a bowling perspective, it's trying to see how a guy like a Sisanda Magala bowls against the Virat Kohli or even that Indian batting order. But I'd be going there. It's just those are my issues coming in. I was like, okay, which seamers are we going to try? Because normally South Africa likes to go three seamer heavy in South Africa. But the other question was, if Adutokea was fit, Lungi also wouldn't get a game, which is a travesty because I think Lungi should be playing as much cricket as possible right now to get him in the groove. Because Kagiso, we saw with that India Test series, a couple of games and he's fine, or gets to some sort of rhythm. So that's where I was. Niharika, do you have any questions to Tim or myself about the South African team, about anything that you would like to know from a South African perspective?
I would like to know from a South African perspective that where does Janeman Malan stand in your playing 11? I know he's in the opening slot and he has been nominated for the IC ODI Cricketer of the Year as well. But do you guys see Janeman Malan as a long-term opener? Like Aiden will be slotted in the middle and Janeman Malan will be the long-term opener? What do you guys think?
Tim?
I think he is the long-term potential at the opener. Interestingly, he is batting at 4 domestically in the red ball cricket, but I think he's got huge potential as an opener. He's an attacking batsman. He doesn't let you settle by worrying us, like worry. He doesn't do is when you get a quality spinner opening in his first 6 overs, and he has at times found it difficult then to push the run rate up to clear the boundary, get it over the inner ring, like a sort of if Jadeja was fit, I would be worried if Jadeja was playing bowling in those first 6 overs against
So Ashwin doesn't scare him.
No, not particularly.
So Niharika, my thing was last year we saw Aiden and Yanaman being put up against each other
Yes.
in a lot of series with both of them being openers, and Yanaman blew him out the water. And Timber confirmed in the press conference today, there's no ambiguity, there's no questions about it. It's Quinton, it's Yanaman, and it's Timber. That's the only certain part of the South African team. Anything else, we'll find out tomorrow. And that's the testament,
including the bowling attack.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's it. Like Tim, do you have the same thing? Because I was trying to write down this 11. I was like, what's going on? Like, why am I not sure? So I do think that ICC nomination really helped Yanaman, because there's no way you're going to drop one of the top 3 best ODI batters in the world. And I say top 3 because I live in a world with Baba Azam and Mohammad Rizwan.
Yeah, fair. Very fair.
The other thing I want to ask both of you, right, for this series, before I ask you your predictions, right, for India, you Niharika, Tim, you South Africa, which players need to step up for both teams to win? And I'm not like talking about the Kohli and the QDK. I'm talking about like this. Is there a player outside of like the big name who you think needs to step up for either India and South Africa to win? So I'll start with Niharika.
Okay. I mean, there are a lot of players in the ODI side who I would pick to stand up. There are a lot. I mean, batting Virat Kohli, there are a lot. I mean, I would say for a KL as well that he has to continue his show after getting that 100 as Centurion and getting the 50 at Johannesburg, but he couldn't just kick it on. And Shikhar Dhawan as well, because he is the senior opener in the side and he has to get runs because he didn't get runs in the domestic season. So yeah, the series will also be a really crucial one for him. But the one thing which I'm really looking forward to is the middle order guys. I mean, one of the 4 middle order guys like Surya Kumar Yadav, like a Shreyas Iyer or a Rishabh Pant. So yeah, these 4, 5, this number 4, number 5, and number 6, these are the things I'm really looking forward to, because India's middle order, it had been a Russian roulette, and we know what happened in the 2019 World Cup. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing one of the middle order guys step up in the series. It could be either an Iyer, it could be either Surya Kumar Yadav, it could be either a Rishabh Pant. But yes, one of these 3 guys in the middle order is what I'm looking forward to.
And Tim, South Africa, which player do you think the series is going to hold on?
I'm going slightly lower middle order, and it depends who they play. That's the thing. So they're not going to play both of them. It's either Dwayne Pretorius or Pitt McGuire, and where it's going to come from is the batting. There's going to come a time. I think probably in 2 or 3 games, South Africa are going to find themselves something like 90 for 5, and they're going to be in all sorts of trouble. They're going to find themselves, particularly with this Indian bowling attack. I think it's going to cause them a lot of trouble in this series. But potentially,
90 for 5, Tim?
Potentially.
Yo, that's scary. I might as well just switch off the TV if it's 90 for 5.
The thing is, both those players have potential with the bat. Both those players need to make a statement. They need to do not just one score. They need to go, right, okay, we don't just have to rely on Quinton and Rassie and Timber. We've got to actually, stick it up here. I think that one of those guys has got to make a statement with the bat in particular. Really make a huge statement. We saw Andila making runs against the Netherlands. He's made runs, so he's potentially in form. If he can do that, continue with that reign of form, then that would be a huge plus for South Africa.
I'm with you there. My side, I'm more going down the route of the number 5 and 6, whoever the number 5 and 6 are. I know Rassie scored runs, and I know David Miller always scores runs once in a while, but he always scores runs consistently, and everyone's angry about him. But he scored the highest runs of any South African since the World Cup. I think David Miller and Rassie. I think it's not like I want them to win us games, but I need them to try and make sure that if we're going with the 6-5 split, that they actually come through. So when you say 90 for 5, I say we can't have a 90 for 5 in any of those games because Rassie and David Miller will be helping us out of the hole. So for me, that's where the thing lies. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on Aiden. I think Aiden needs to bat as freely as he can. And I know Yanaman and Quinny have been on form, and I'm okay with that, and I'm comfortable with that. Timber's in a purple patch when it comes to his batting across all formats. So for me, this series comes down to number 5 and 6. I know Dwayne can bat, but hey guys, it's a tall order. it can be a tall order, but they need to bat with a little bit more responsibility, especially that 7 and 8. But for me, I'm looking at Rassie. I'm looking at David Miller. I need them to come through a lot more. They've been consistent. I just want a little bit more consistency because if they do that, it gives us enough leeway to say, even if in the Bangladesh series or any other series we're playing against the Netherlands, to be like, okay, we know what those guys can do. Let's put them aside. Let's see what Carl and Zubair or try blood other people in. You need to be as comfortable at the top as you can. And I kind of feel like that's the one spot where I can give the younger players an opportunity to play in future if we're not playing in India. So that's where I'm sitting at. The big question now, Niharika, 3-match series, India, South Africa. What's your scoreline at the end of the series?
It's going to be really tough to decide what the scoreline would be because many predicted 3-0 for India in Test, and we know how it went.
Yeah, we know how that went.
But yes, so I think I wouldn't say 3-0 for India. I will keep it 2-1. 2-1 for India.
2-1 India. Tim, what are you going?
I'm going 2-1 South Africa. There's not going to be any rain, so there's not going to be any washouts. All 3 games will be played to the final.
The glorious sunshine.
Yeah.
So
2-1 just
2-1 South Africa. Okay, so I'm the one with the weird prediction now. Okay. What must I pick? Oh, guys. I think it'll be 2-1 South Africa. I think India have a lot more questions to answer than South Africa do in the 50 over format. I don't think they've played a lot. South Africa having played the Super League matches, against the West Indies, and so they've and we've played some Super League matches, and we've against Sri Lanka and the Netherlands are in a little bit more form, even though that India series against Sri Lanka was really compelling watching. I won't lie. And so I do think that South Africa has the edge here, and it could go down to a 3-0, because remember what Yuzvendra Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav did to us the last time. If, for instance, India arrived tomorrow and you need 30 overs of spin, I will, and on Friday in Paarl, I wouldn't put it past India sweeping us, largely because their spinners, I think, are slightly better than ours. And it's that third spinner that's the question. I think Surya Kumar Yadav might just be a little bit better than Aiden Markram. And I think those 10 overs, if we have to bowl like a whole lot of overs of Aiden Markram, that could be the thing that kind of breaks the camel's back. But 2-1 South Africa for now. But if all of a sudden tomorrow it's a rank Turner, we're in trouble. South Africa's in trouble. And so I'll swing to India. But 2-1 will give you the decider in Cape Town to make it a little bit happy, but that's where I'm at. Niharika, thank you very much for joining us. Tim, thank you for joining us on the back end. This was your South Africa-India series preview. All the best to you and your team, Niharika. And we wish to have you back probably in the end to ask what went wrong. Just like we did in the first 10 minutes. If you want to know what happened to Aiden Markram, we spoke about Virat Kohli in the first 10 minutes. So if you want to know about that and you just joined us now, please just rewatch. And Niharika gives you a sense of what she went through on the day Virat Kohli resigned from Test captaincy. It was wild. And so, yeah. So we just hope to see tomorrow a Virat Kohli, the player, not the captain, not the vice captain, Virat Kohli, the player. And I hope he doesn't get to century number, I guess it's 77 or whatever number he's on.
71.
Hope he doesn't. 71. We don't want that. I don't want that, but I'm sure you do. So,
but Indian fans would want that.
Yes, but South African fans not so much, unless if it's a pretty 100, because that 72 in Cape Town was a very good 72. It wasn't a typical Virat Kohli 72, but it was beautiful because he was fighting himself.
It was a very hard and gritty 79 in the first innings. I mean, that battle with Kagiso Rabada was the highlight.
Yes, it was. So we hope for more of those in this ODI series. But you can catch all of that on 1WSR with the official ball-by-ball radio broadcaster of this India series. And we're going to be the official broadcaster for a lot more series to come. So please do, if you're new to us, like, subscribe, do all the things. Click the notification bell, because as people are asking here in the chat panel what time the game starts, you'll be notified 5 minutes before, because you'll get an email that says, hey, the test match is the ODI is starting. And Tim will be there, Tip will be there, James will be there. We've got a really lovely commentary team. And yeah, we'll be back probably after the day's play to discuss what went wrong. But outside of that, have a great day, great afternoon, enjoy the ODI series. And from myself, Niharika, and Tim, goodbye, good night, and Lisale Kakahiso.
To know where you are going, you have to know where you come from.
And a very good early morning to all of you out there who, despite the hour, have got up for this historic occasion in South African sport.
As South Africa and India mark 30 years of friendship, we look to the next 30 years with even greater anticipation.
We have millions watching this telecast right now.